Good morning, everybody. I hope y'all are doing well. There are a lot of smiling faces in here today, so I appreciate y'all taking the time to be with me. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm questioning y'all's sanity for waking up and having coffee with me. I'm sure there are a few other things y'all could be doing, but I appreciate it very much. A lot of things to talk about today, and we'll jump in. A couple housekeeping things. There's a chat box. Everybody knows Zoom by now. I mean, it's our third arm, right? But if you have a question for me, put it in the chat, or you can always email it if you're not on the video side and you're not checking it out. If you're on the phone, feel free to email us at info@columbiachamber.com. That's info@columbiachamber.com. We'll try to answer your question, or I may filter your comment because I'm just being fully honest with y'all. I've had a few out there questions or comments. So if I use my judgment, but this is my Coffee with Carl show, so I can do that. But again, welcome you. And week, whatever of the coronavirus thing, but a lot of movement this week. And so I wanted to hit a few highlights for y'all of what we're seeing, what I'm hearing, and then we'll dig into what we think next. Was yesterday, the governor's Accelerate SC Task Force met. It was pretty interesting, actually. It was, if you forget what they said, but if you just watched what they were doing, they met at the Alumni Center, at USC Alumni Center, and they sat 6 feet apart, and they had a speaker. They had numerous speakers. Every cabinet director spoke, but they had to wipe down the microphone and the podium after each speaker. And then they kept maintaining their social distancing. They had all their masks, but it was kind of if I have to be honest, it was kind of freaky in the sense of seeing the first big type of meeting into this new environment, and not a virtual meeting, but a real live meeting with everybody face masked up and having to wipe down everything. And so it was kind of interesting, but some good takeaways there. Stark numbers. All right. If we really were going to be honest, the tourism industry obviously taking just a beating right now. Hotel occupancy is down 70% over last year at this time. So the good news is tourism is going to rebound. It's just a matter of can we get something out of it? And Dwayne Parrish, the director of PRT, said yesterday that he thinks that the end of the year will still be down about 50%. But we'll start opening up things mid-June, it looks like. And so hopefully the folks along the coast, and the reason why that's important to us is because of the tax implications. I mean, the amount of sales tax, accommodations tax, you name it, that comes with tourism is significant for a state our size. And so the trickle down impact will be the budget at the state level will be dramatically smaller next year. For it's, we all have our little projects that we like out of a budget. And so it's, we've got to figure that piece out. And that's what the Accelerate SC Task Force is going to look at is, but a lot of good minds on there. And so it was interesting. It really was interesting. Molly Spearman did a good job as well. To be honest, I had I had 2 Zooms at one time and the Accelerate going on at the same time. So I had 2 screens and catch everything, but it was pretty good stuff. Also yesterday, the City of Columbia's COVID task force met, and good update from Dr. Bell was on, the state epidemiologist was on, and she was, bless her heart, she's about lost her voice because she's talking to every single person out there. But bottom line is and this is an interesting fact, when Henry did relax some regulations or something on Monday, it really wasn't a whole lot. I mean, he allowed small business to open up, which I think was really important. He did so in a manner that I thought was very thoughtful. And I'll explain that, because we still have the social distancing aspect. But what he was hearing from a lot of small business owners was, look, whether it's a athletic shop, whether it's a shoe shop, doesn't matter what kind of shop it was, but how fair was it that the small business guy couldn't open their door, but everybody could go to a big box chain store and buy everything they need? And so this was a leveling agent, if you will, for small businesses, just to say they're open and give people options. But it's still, I don't think it did a whole lot, quite frankly, but I think it was a political win for the governor and open up the beaches and all that he did. Again, he turned that back over to the cities and the counties, which was the right thing to do. I don't expect a lot of openings beginning on Monday of next week, but I do think there'll be openings the following week, the first week of May. I think we'll have some conversations about opening slowly. The problem is, if you look at the trend this week on the number of cases around the state of South Carolina, it's up and down every day. It looks like a stair step. Now, are we trending down? Absolutely. So if you look at the week averages, we're down over the two previous weeks. However, we still had 161 cases of COVID-19 yesterday. And that was the day before was 149. So this is still a live virus. It is still significant challenge for us, and those that are elderly or those that have underlying health conditions are equally as at risk today as they were 6 weeks ago. So as we think about opening our doors, as we think about the challenges that we're going to be facing, we've got to be thoughtful in at least managing expectations, which is, if you're in any type of business, you recognize that if it's your customer, you got to manage expectations. And so for us, looking into our political leadership, we've got to manage those expectations and recognize not everybody can go back to work at the same time. And what do we have to look for, and what do we need to look for as it relates? The chamber is hopefully we're looking at, we've compiled reams and reams of data, and we're hoping to put some guidelines out next week to help businesses open back up. But this is going to be a process, no doubt about it. So I do think that with schools closed for the remainder of the year, that's going to be a challenge for all of us as we have employees, or if we have kids ourselves, or we have employees that have kids. Our praise and mad respect for teachers has gone up through the roof in the last 6 weeks. I know mine has, because my patience is when trying to deal with math. But anyway, it has been, we're all going to have some flexibility as we deal with our workforce, since schools are not going to be open. And I think we have to look at the stark reality of what does the fall look like if we do not have some chemical response to COVID, and what do we need to do from there. So I don't want to get depressed, so I'll skip that for another week, but I do think that that's got to be in the back of our mind as we go forward. Let's talk. We had a really interesting week as it relates to programming at the chamber. We had a couple of good series, and again, everybody's got like 1,000 Zoom calls a week and lots of data out there. We're putting all of our webinars, et cetera, on our website, so you can check them out a little later on in the evenings when it's quiet, or early morning if you want to check it out. There's some good stuff. Walker McKay, good friend, did a nice job on Monday talking about your business and how to pivot, and what should you be thinking about now going forward, because if you're not thinking about, tell you what your competition is. So he had some good takeaways there. We had a fabulous meeting with our small business group committee, as well as our Northeast Connections group. So thanks to Mike Bell and others that really, Jared Clary, I think I saw Jared on here. Thanks for your leadership on that. And the famous Ron Harvey got some love in Cola Daily this week on some comments he made on that task force meeting. It was really, really helpful. So thank y'all for that. And we had a hospitality conversation yesterday with folks in the hospitality region, USC, chef at 1801 Grill, number of others talking about what to expect and how do you move forward. That was very helpful. And then one little nugget that I encourage all of y'all to check out if you're number geeks like me. I love looking at numbers and data. Chernoff Newman did some data collection over the last 2 weeks. Peter Lamott and Fenton Overdyke at Chernoff did a great thing and partnered with Columbia Chamber, Greenville Chamber, and the Charleston Chamber for our partners to have data to see what is consumer confidence, what are the consumer mindset right now on everything related to COVID. And it was fascinating to see people's reaction. And, you know, I'm a old political hack. I love data as it relates to numbers and polling. And so this had some good stuff. It's going to be on our website. It's on, it's actually on Chernoff Newman's website, but we'll have it as well. And it's layers and layers and layers of data. And the bottom line is everybody in South, and they broke it up by region and by sex and age, the whole thing. What's cool is you can really see that while there's a big push to open businesses back up and get back to normal, there's the consumer confidence is lagging. And as we all know that there's a reluctance to jump back in and be quote unquote normal again, but we're not going to have a normal again. We will have a new normal, but it won't look anything like it did a couple months ago. And so while we're all nervous about it, everybody's been impacted by it in some way, some fashion. There still need to be prudence and patience as we move forward. And so I encourage y'all to check the Chernoff study out. That was really, really interesting. And they're going to update that about every 40 to 45 days or so, which will be interesting to see the trends as it relates to South Carolina. And they also did one for North Carolina for those that have business in North Carolina. It'll be on their website as well. So thanks for them for partnering with the three big chambers, the urban chambers in South Carolina. We've got a great relationship with Charleston and Greenville. I lean on them heavily, so we appreciate that. All right. No questions, no chat. So I'll keep on just for a couple things. Let me tell you, no birds chirping today. I know that y'all had, I had some comments in the past, some smart aleck comments, quite frankly, but I am doing today's chat from 930 Richland Street for the last time. I figured it was a nice close out. The chamber's moving this week. It's been nuts. Our new office is 1225 Ladies Street. And so the movers were here this week. The staff has been phenomenal because we've still managed to juggle what we've been doing, but also get a move in and practice social distancing at the same time. It's like the one-armed paper hanger, right? It has been a madhouse, but we're excited. So next week, obviously not everything's moved because my computer and my telephone are still here at Richland Street, but we'll get those over on Monday. So we're going to have some interruptions as we go forward, like any business right now has. The chamber on the business side, we've got to make some decisions going forward on what we're going to do. We've been impacted as well, and so I know for a fact we're going to close on Fridays here on out as a way to consolidate business operations. So more changes will probably be forthcoming, but I'll keep you posted on that. But again, like any business, we've got to be agile and figure out what's best for us as a business, and it's not easy. So for those business owners, I feel you. I've lost some sleep in the last few weeks, as many of you have. So let me make sure. All right, no questions. All right, anybody got questions for me? Because at this point I can just ramble on, and y'all don't want to do that. But let me a couple things about going forward. So I've had several meetings with the mayor this week. I got to give props to Steve and his group at the city. They led with the small business recovery plans that and the loans that they have made to small businesses. They've done a phenomenal job. They've recharged some of those funds to allow more companies to qualify for small business relief. The county has jumped into the game and they've taken the lead. Well, they followed City of Columbia's lead and are using similar criteria to fund businesses in the county. but I've had several calls from around the country, namely Naples, Florida, and a couple other places that have asked about, they've heard about the City of Columbia loan program and have asked for all their criteria and documentation that go along with that. So Steve and City Council have done a really good job of being proactive. So I applaud them for that. We had the COVID-19 task force meeting I mentioned earlier yesterday. One of the things that we're talking about is recovery. And so Steve and I, along with several other members of City Council, met earlier in the week. We're going to meet again to talk about slowly opening up the city. What the mayor has charged us with is to look at data, and let's be data driven versus emotionally driven, which is absolutely the way to go. If you poll everybody out there on this call, we're tired of being home. We're tired of confinement. Get it. But we need to be smart in how we open up the city and what's the right thing. As I've talked to a number of folks in the hospitality industry this week, especially restaurant folks, there's a nervousness, right? I mean, you can open your doors, but that doesn't mean people are coming. And again, to piggyback off the Chernoff study, I, for one, am not really excited about going out to a restaurant today or tomorrow. How do we practice social distancing? If we do, and is it financially feasible for a restaurant to open their doors if we only have 25% capacity? Because you've got to include the cooks, the wait staff, the host staff, the dishwashers and all, and part of that number. And so we've got to figure out criteria to best open up. And I know the Restaurant Association up in DC is putting out some good guidances. And so we're going to look for them and get good data to recommend to the city and the county open this back up. But I do think we're going to see some movement probably within the next week. Slowly open up. I don't think restaurants will be part of that first wave. I do think mid-May is a good opportunity to see more things pop open. Again, those that have underlying health conditions or elderly, we won't see anything until June on that front, which is smart because we have, I truly think if we saw a resurgence of COVID, then we're going to have to start over from step one again. Nobody wants to do that. I can't imagine another 6 weeks of what we've had. So anyway, patience. Listen, it's only 9:17. Anybody got a question? Anybody got a comment? Well, I don't know how to do a comment for y'all, but if y'all, maybe there's a place to raise your hand and I can find it. But if anybody got any specific questions, if you need anything from us, we're here to help y'all. And I truly think the worst is behind us. We've got great things ahead. The amount of conversations I've had this week with folks that are actually looking proactively, how we define ourselves from an economic development standpoint, opportunities that we have as a southern mid-sized city, that folks that may want to get out of the big urban areas, Chicago and New York and Boston and Philly, those are great places to visit. But in times like this, maybe it's best to be in a smaller town. And so there's a lot of folks that are thinking strategically right now. And I think that's what we have to do. We have to be very, very tactical going forward. And we hope to be the thought leader there. At least we want to be a part of the conversation at the chamber. A lot of time on, but be really very deliberate in what we do. And so, but we don't need a resurgence of this COVID stuff. We need it to go away quickly. The good news is we are far below the projections of what it could be. And so I think we've taken social distancing to a good level. So I'm reading these comments right quick. Jared Clary, big thanks to Ron, Audra, and the rest of the Small Business Council for making us. It really was a good meeting.
Hey, Carl, Ron, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Ron.
Yeah, a couple things. First, I mean, I think it's super important that there's the public health risk and then the financial risk, and trying to balance that really in a fair way, because both are very good arguments, which I think is a huge conversation that we should be having. But with Small Business Week coming around the corner, and we're not sure which way that, what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, even the next couple of hours, is there any conversation, we starting to think ahead that if we can do anything, how would we do something since Small Business Week is coming? Is that conversation happening?
Well, I think that they have officially canceled all the big things going on for
Yes.
Small Business Week,
Yes.
but there's certainly some things that we can do webinar wise and virtually to appreciate. Listen, Ron made the best comment in the silver lining to this COVID is that there's been such a spotlight on small business, and that needed to happen. So a good point there, Ron, on in your comments, and I read it Cole Daily, but you said it on the call the other day. That's a great idea. We'll circle back and we'll highlight. We'll highlight small business that week and figure out a way to celebrate as we will. For those that have followed the 6 straight ribbon cuttings or press conference we had for small business, we ain't doing it this year, but we can do it virtually. How's that?
Yeah, I think a good suggestion, if everybody, so you don't have to do it by yourself, Carl, or the team at the chamber, is everybody that's attending this, if you have a good idea that's something that we can offer to the chamber for what we can do for Small Business Week, doesn't mean your thing gets voted for, but I think the more ideas that people drop in the chat will be very useful for you. So when you're sitting with your team, you at least have stuff that we're saying that may be good. So if you have some good idea, help the chamber out and put what you think we ought to do for Small Business Week. What do you need? What will help your business?
All right. Hey, Elizabeth, I'm looking for a number right quick. I saw it, and Elizabeth asked about unemployment claims in South Carolina. I had the national numbers. I was looking for the local. There are 26 million that have filed for unemployment across the country, 4.4 new last week. And this came out, thanks, Rich Odell. I'm on LTX right now. And number of cases fell this week for the first time by 14,000. So that means some people are coming back to work, which is great. I'll keep looking for that, Elizabeth, and shoot it to you or we'll find a way to get to you. South Carolina's paid out about $351 million in CARES Act and unemployment benefits. So over the last 5 weeks, 341,000 claims in South Carolina. That's a lot. And the numbers equal that. We haven't seen numbers like this since the Great Depression. That's been a long time. Interesting thing is we look through the next couple things. If you look at the last huge viruses that have come through, I had a conversation yesterday. For those old enough to remember, the AIDS epidemic hit in the early 80s, and it's been 39 years, and we truly do not have a vaccine for that. It took a long time to get a smallpox vaccine. So we may not have a vaccine for COVID-19 anytime soon, but I think there are ways to mitigate that and protect people. And so we really need that before everybody can get back to a new norm. And I want to give props to the elected officials out there because they signed up for a lot of issues. No one thought they'd have to be dealing with this. So I was critical this week of our state legislature, the governor, and the city and the county have. We're going to need the General Assembly to step up and really start thinking of how, from a state perspective, whether it's taxation policy or help in some capacity, we're going to need help from the state for small businesses, no question about it. And so I look forward to having that conversation with our delegation here in the Midlands, but across the state as we look for their guidance as well. I want to also thank Deneen, the Coffee Queen, our partner of the month for the month of April. She's been great, and you could absolutely, Jared, Denine's great, and her coffee's phenomenal. So thank you, Denine, for helping us with this. I see Mona Dew did a really good webinar yesterday for business on the various unemployment benefits available. Yes, Dew's done a great job. We also have some stuff on our website as well that for all of our webinars, again, they are, there's a link on our COVID page that every one of our webinars is taped, and you can, and we've got, I think, transcripts as well, Rose, on all of ours. So if you don't have time to listen to everything, I know I don't, you can at least scan through it and find something interesting. There's always something interesting on there. So feel free to take that out. Again, the link is for the full recording, and also there's transcripts for you to read on all those. So listen, I really thank y'all for coming. Ben Brantley, man, you got up early, so thank you. Y'all have a great weekend. We'll do this next Friday again. Even though the chamber will be closed, we'll still have these fun meetings on Friday mornings. But anyway, y'all be safe. If you have any questions, if you need anything, feel free to call me. You know, my numbers are on the website, but also if info@columbiachamber.com. Y'all be safe. Thanks again for your partnership. We really appreciate it, and look forward to seeing y'all real soon. Bye.